Hi there and welcome back to the lessons on the IELTS speaking section. We're continuing going through this section, and this lesson will be covering the format of part 2, strategies to conquer this section, and we'll look through how to go about a sample or two. Let's go! Part 2 is also known as a long turn, and it is often considered the most challenging section, but with proper preparation and strategies, you can excel. Let's refresh our memories by going through the format of part 2. Part 2 requires you to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on a given topic. Here's how it'll work in a little bit more detail. First of all, you'll receive a task card with a prompt. The prompt typically contains a topic, a set of questions or cues, and some instructions. You'll have a minute to prepare your response after receiving the task card. Use this time wisely to brainstorm ideas and outline your response by making notes. After your 1-minute preparation time ends, you will then need to speak for 2 minutes continuously without any interruption on the same topic, addressing all the points from the task card. Finally, the examiner may prompt you with a follow-up question or two related to the topic after you finish speaking. Now, before we look at the sample, let's go through some tips for this section. The first point to note is to read the task prompt very carefully. This honestly cannot be emphasized enough. Think about it. If you don't read the question properly, there may be a tendency to go off topic, or your answer may not have anything to do with the topic, and that's where you'll lose crucial fluency and accuracy or fluency and coherence marks. Make sure you take the 1-minute preparation time to read the task card carefully. Note the main points and the instruction. Understanding the task thoroughly is the key to success. Second, plan your response. During the 1-minute preparation time, jot down a few key ideas and points you want to cover in your speech. Make sure you organize your thoughts logically. What can also help is if you create a brief outline with bullet points. Next, try to stick to the time limit. Part 2 is timed precisely, and you must speak for the entire 2 minutes. Speaking less than a minute can actually result in a lower score. And don't worry if the examiner interrupts you. As stated before, this is a strictly timed exam. So that just means you and the examiner are ready to move on to the next set of questions or the next part. The next tip I have for you is to use signposts. In order to structure your response, using signposts like firstly, furthermore, and in conclusion to guide the examiner through your speech really helps. This makes your speech more organized, easier to follow, and also adds to your fluency and coherence score and lexical resource score. Also, make sure you speak clearly and fluently. Pronunciation, fluency, and coherence are essential. It's best to avoid long pauses, stuttering, or stumbling over your words. Practice speaking at a moderate pace to ensure clarity and fluency. Now, this last tip is quite important too, and that is to be descriptive. Use vivid vocabulary and descriptive language to paint a picture for the examiner. This will add depth to your response and showcase your vocabulary skills. Right, so now that we've got some helpful pointers, let's look at the sample question and see how to answer it. Describe a memorable holiday you've had. You should say where you went, who you went with, what you did, and why it was memorable. Let's plan our answer. But before we do that, there's one important thing we should note, and that is everyone makes notes differently. The way I make my notes may not work for you, so feel free to do it however you like, as long as it helps you frame your answer. All right, on to planning. So our question has to do with a memorable holiday. If you're finding it difficult to remember one, make it up. The examiner isn't going to fact check and see if you actually went there. This is the test of English, so they will only be testing you on your skills related to that, along with the assessment criteria. Here's what my notes would look like. You can take a minute of your time to do the same. Okay, on to speaking about the topic. Here we go. I'd like to share about a memorable holiday I had in Paris, France a few years ago. I believe it was around 2018. I went with a few of my closest college friends, and the experience was truly unforgettable. Paris, which is often referred to the City of Love, is renowned for its romantic atmosphere and iconic landmarks, and we had the chance to explore some of the most famous ones. We marveled at the Eiffel Tower's stunning views and stood in awe of the Mona Lisa at the Louvre Museum. However, what made this trip exceptional was not just the incredible places we visited, but also the deepening of our friendships. As we navigated the charming streets of Paris, we shared laughter, stories, and incredible moments, creating lasting bonds. Of course, we couldn't resist indulging in the culinary delights of the city, starting our days with delicious croissants and coffee, exploring quaint cafes, and savoring mouth-watering French cuisine. The overall ambience of Paris, with its romantic allure, made this holiday exceptionally memorable. It was a perfect combination of exploration and bonding with dear friends. By the end of the trip, we felt not only enriched by the art and culture of the city, but also closer as friends. My holiday in Paris was a blend of iconic sightseeing, delicious cuisine, and the strengthening of lifelong friendships against the backdrop of the city of love. It is a cherished memory that continues to bring a smile to my face. Now that you've seen a model answer for describing a memorable holiday, let's break down the key strategies that made this response effective. First, notice how I introduced the topic and provided essential information about the destination, who I traveled with, and the main activities. This clear and structured introduction sets the stage for the rest of my response. Next, I elaborated on each aspect of the holiday, using descriptive language and specific details to engage the listener. Remember, being descriptive not only demonstrates your vocabulary skills, but also makes your answer more interesting and memorable to the examiner. Additionally, I highlighted the significance of the trip, emphasizing the deepening of friendships and the unique experiences that made it unforgettable. Linking your experiences to personal growth or memorable moments can make your response more compelling. And finally, I wrapped up the response with a concise conclusion, summarizing the key points and leaving a positive impression. As you practice for the IELTS Speaking Part 2, remember to follow these strategies. Take the 1-minute preparation time to organize your thoughts, use clear signposts for structure, and aim for a balanced response that covers all aspects of the task. Let's move on to a few additional tips before we end the lesson. First of all, practice timing. Practice with the timer to ensure you can comfortably speak for the required duration. Recording yourself during practice can help evaluate your performance. Second, practice a range of topics. Familiarize yourself with various types of Part 2 topics, such as describing a person, an event, a place, or a possession. Practice speaking on these topics to build confidence and versatility. Next, improve your vocabulary. Enhance your vocabulary by reading and listening to diverse materials. Use synonyms and idiomatic expressions to make your speech more engaging. Also, record and evaluate. Like we mentioned in point 1, record your responses and evaluate them. Pay attention to the areas where you can improve, such as pronunciation, word choice, and fluency. And last but not least, seek feedback. If possible, have a native English speaker or a proficient English speaker review your responses and provide feedback. And that's where I can help. You can always connect with me and I can guide you through the speaking section, evaluate your responses, and provide personalized feedback. Well, there we have it. An effective way to maneuver your way through Part 2 of the IELTS Speaking Exam. Remember, your ability to speak coherently, fluently, and within the time limit is assessed during this section, and with practice and the right strategies, you can confidently tackle any topic you encounter. Keep these tips in mind as you prepare for Part 2 of the IELTS Speaking section, and I'll see you for the final lesson for this section, where we'll break down Part 3. See you then!